Hello, everyone. Welcome to the June NJBIA Business Growth Roundtable. Anthony is here with me, and we've got a really great webinar for you today. We're super excited to welcome the New Jersey AI Hub and Microsoft to the table to talk to us about Copilot. You're all piling in from the waiting room. So while that's happening, Anthony, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on at NJBIA?
You got it. Thanks, Donna. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to New Jersey Business Industry Association's Business Growth Roundtable. Just wanted to say tough loss last night for the Knicks, but they got it. Don't worry. We're going to definitely win the next game. Anyway, I just wanted to let everyone know that this is a great initiative led by such a talented group of women. And for those of you new at NGBIA, we are one of the nation's largest statewide business associations in New Jersey, representing about 25% of all New Jersey employees. NJBA helps support companies, and we are true to our core. We are business at the center. Just some quick things about NJBIA. We have opportunities to help your business grow, from visibility and exposure through our magazine, our digital opportunities, our podcast, our television show, Minding Your Business, as well as some money-saving discounts for members that are on board with Plymouth Rock Auto Insurance, our 401k solutions with BCG, our healthcare with AMT, and other HR support opportunities as well. I'm one of the sponsorship executives here at NJBIA. And if you have any questions, I'll drop my information in the chat. Before I turn over to Donna, one last thing. WBLF, Women's Business Leaders Forum, is around the corner. It's powered by citizens. It's taking place in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at Bally's Hotel and Casino, September 23rd and September 24th. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I can help get you anything you need. Thank you so much. Looking forward to a great session. Donna, it's all yours.
Why, thank you, Anthony. And this effort would not be possible without the help of our sponsors. So let me just tell you a little bit about that through this video. Welcome to this month's New Jersey Business and Industry Association's Business Growth Roundtable. We created this show because we really want to equip you with what you need to succeed.
This event is ideal for business leaders who need to stay up to date on strategy, technology, and trends to grow their business.
So let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NJBIA Business Growth Roundtable. I am Donna Miller, one of your co-hosts, and I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Works and founder of Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting, where for over 30 years, we've been helping companies to accelerate their growth by providing support and advisory services around operations, biz dev, and finance. What we really do is we allow growing teams and business owners to work smarter by focusing on that which actually moves the needle. And our clients know that by bringing us in to build AI-infused systems that are efficient, connected, and executable by them or us, they're laying the foundation for a company that will run and grow without them involved in every little detail. So if you are interested in working smarter and growing faster, who isn't? Let's talk. And let me hand it over to my co-host, Rachel Durkin.
Thank you, Donna, and hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Durkin. I'm with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web marketing, branding, and sales enablement agency that specializes in working with clients with a complex sale. That means B2B, professional services, and nonprofit organizations. If you have a sales team and you want them to have more qualified leads and shorter sales cycles, we can help build a marketing to sales infrastructure that is going to decrease your cost of sale and make your sales team more effective, all while driving revenue up and costs down. So if you're looking for support in your in outsourced marketing or any of those areas, please contact me at Paradigm and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. And this event would not be what it is without our sponsors. So first, thank you to Nissa Vaccia, who takes pride in delivering exceptional accounting services in New Jersey, built on a foundation of strong work ethic and a commitment to treating their clients like family. These are the traits they pass down from everyone on their team throughout their culture, and it's evident in everything they do. For more than 55 years, Nissa Vaccia has made great partnerships with all of their clients, and that is why they have chosen the best place to work and the top 25 accounting firms in New Jersey. And Donna, let me throw it over to you for our next sponsor.
And speaking of partnerships, we love partnering with Summit Place Financial Advisors. They offer focused, individualized attention, serving a select group of highly successful people like you who have outgrown mass market institutions. Success often comes with complex investment, tax, and estate planning challenges. Summit Place offers experienced, personalized, and disciplined guidance to help you achieve your financial goals and simplify wealth opportunistically. They collaborate with trusted professionals to bring a holistic, expert approach to your financial journey. Of course, Summit Place is an SEC registered firm. They do not sell products, earn commissions, or have quotas to meet. They work solely in your best interest with no hidden fees or agenda. Rachel, who else do we need to thank?
And last but not least, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, which is the state's leading health insurance provider, committed to improving the health and well-being of New Jersey residents through innovative, high-quality, and affordable coverage. Guided by a mission to advance health equity, this organization strengthens communities statewide by investing in programs and partnerships that support access, wellness, and long-term health outcomes. Donna, back to you.
Excellent. And as Rachel said at the top, we could not do this without our partners, so we're truly grateful for this collaboration. And of course, we are collaborating with NJBIA. So let me hand it back to NJBIA.
Okay, I did that in reverse order. Just goes to show you when you do things live, this is what happens. It's all good. So before we get into the content of our program today, I just want to do a little housekeeping. So we are recording this. You will get the recording. Take copious notes, but you will also get the recording. We want to encourage you to use the chat to introduce yourself. You are in a room with we have 250 people registered for this event. You are in a room full of people who are interested in what you're interested in, and that's a great way to start a conversation. Also, please do not put your questions in the chat. It will be completely unruly. We will allow some time at the end, but please use the Q&A section. And last but not least, next month in July, we will be replaying one of our most popular NJBIA Business Growth Roundtables on strategic partnerships. Join us. Rachel's going to drop the link in chat as I'm speaking, and we will be there for live Q&A. So with that, at the top, I said I'm really happy to be collaborating with NJAI Hub, a newly formed co-working organization, and Dr. Marie Pryor is here to tell us a little bit about the organization. Marie.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate it. Pleasure to be with you all. And it was really quiet where I am at this conference until 1 minute ago when they let out for lunch. So I hope you can still hear me all right. Sorry.
Yes, we can.
The din in the background. Good to be with you all. Marie Pryor. I represent the Tech Spark New Jersey manager for Microsoft and the director of workforce at the New Jersey AI Hub. The Hub is a public-private partnership launched last year by the State of New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Princeton University, Microsoft, and CoreWeave. So those four entities came together to form what is the Hub. And we were created to advance AI innovation, research, commercialization, and workforce development across the state of New Jersey. And so by Microsoft being a founding partner of the Hub, we play a key role in strengthening AI education, workforce development through our Tech Spark model, which is a national program active in 11 regions throughout the United States, with New Jersey being its newest, and doing that work to support AI literacy, higher ed curriculum modernization, workforce training. And so in this work, New Jersey BIA has been a really strong and early partner of the Hub. We're especially excited to partner with NJBIA on this initiative and sessions like these, really focusing on helping business leaders like yourselves use Microsoft Copilot in concrete, high-impact ways for sales operations, business leadership, and your own efficiencies and productivity. So without further ado, in my loud background, I want to introduce Brian Shaw, who's our customer success account manager at Microsoft, and he works with enterprise clients to help them achieve business goals, maximize the value of Microsoft technologies and services. And Brian brings more than 15 years of experience in the software industry with expertise spanning technical support, service engineering, customer relationship management, and now business applications using AI. And so I've had the privilege of attending Brian's internal Microsoft training sessions. And as long as his computer doesn't reboot spontaneously, he does not disappoint. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian to kick us off.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause my video. You all have a shot of me. just because it's been freezing on me. So again, yes, my name is Brian Shaw. I've been with Microsoft for almost 19 years now, so a little bit over 15. Been with in several different orgs at Microsoft, so love working for Microsoft. I am currently a cloud solution architect for cloud and AI, and I'm in the RCG, or retail and consumer goods business sector at Microsoft. And so, we help customers like yourself in various regions that are in the retail sector actually, implement Copilot and go forward. So today I'd like to welcome you, and we're going to start going over some of the basics of Copilot and help you understand, how to use Copilot, where can you use Copilot, what you can do with Copilot, what does a good prompt look like? Because, a lot of people hear that, oh, I've got to be this massive prompt engineer in order to make it work, but you don't have to be. And we'll go over that and we'll show you all the neat pieces of that. And so first, let's get into the agenda. Our first one is overview. So what is Copilot? What does it mean? I know a lot of people have heard the media, and they've talked about AI, and they've talked about these large language models, or LLMs. And so that's like ChatGPT 5.5. You got Cloud Opus. You got all these different models like Grok and things like that. So those are all the things that get the press. But that's just a piece of what makes up Copilot, right? That's just what grounds the agent. What we also do is we give you access, assuming you have the Copilot license. And most of the talk I'm talking about today is if you do have a license. If you don't have a license and you still want to use Copilot, you can do that. You just don't get the same level of access. But I want to show you what it's capable of. So we're going to talk as if you do have a license today. Also, it has access to the large language model. It has access to the graph, which is your data. It has access to all the M365 apps, right? You had Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, Teams, Whiteboard, OneNote, and on and on and on, Loop, all the different documents. And it has access to the internet, right? So it has web grounding as well. So it can use the Bing search engine to get additional data in for your queries. So we'll talk about that as well. And again, these are all the applications I was talking about: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth. Forms is another one, Whiteboard, OneNote, Loop, Teams, all these are applications that have Copilot in them. And so what we like to say is we put Copilot in the place that you do work. So if you work in forms, we want to give you Copilot so that you can actually be productive in that work, right? So it's not like we're just trying to paste AI everywhere. We're just trying to make it easy for you to be able to get to the tools when you need the tools, right? We don't force you to use the tools, but if you need the tools, they're available for you. Access to your business content, right? So Copilot, based on the latest sales report, right? Assuming Copilot has access to that sales report, whether that be something that's posted online or something that's internal, right? It should know what that is because it has access to all your work data. Can you summarize the revenue growth trends for Q2 2025? So now you're trying to narrow that data down. So it may have access to the entire year's sales, but you're just wanting Q2 for 2025. Also provide insights on which product categories contributed the most, right? So now you're also fine-tuning that. And we'll again go over, what makes a good prompt later, but this is a pretty good prompt and gives you access to that latest sales report and tells you, what exactly you're looking for. You're able to scope it down to a particular section of the report, and you're actually telling it how you want it delivered to you. Again, these are the applications. These are the locations, whether it's available on the web application, the desktop app, the Mac OS, Android, iPhone, and iPad. All have these applications. Of course, you see the red X's on some of those that are not available. Copilot is not available on those. And so we're constantly improving this, so even if you're using a Mac, you can still get to Copilot and still be able to use that. All right, Donna, you can still hear me? Just want to check every so often because
yes, I can still hear you.
Yeah, I was on a presentation the other day with 1,000 people, and it locked up, and I talked to myself for 30 minutes and didn't realize I was talking to myself. So I just want to make sure.
You sounded great, though.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's go. All right, so Copilot capabilities. So why would you use Copilot, right? What is the purpose of using Copilot? So it can save you time. It can increase your satisfaction and well-being because it saves you time, right? So you're not as stressed. You get your work done quicker. It improves the quality of your work. It reduces that digital debt that, like you sit there and you stare at a screen and it's like, oh, I've got to write this document. I don't know where to start. Just ask Copilot. Say, hey, I need to write a document about change management, and I need to improve last quarter's document. And here's the link to last quarter's document. And by the way, I need to add these 3 things. Go. And it's going to do that, right? It's going to create that finished document. And now all you have to do is just read over it, approve it, and you're done, right? So it'll do a lot of the work for you and reduce all that tiresome, cumbersome work that you have to do. So getting started with Copilot. So these are different places where you can use Copilot. So m365copilot.com. You can use it in the Teams app on the left side. You can use it in the Outlook app on the left side again. You can use the Copilot application. So if your organization has Copilot, sometimes they will pin an icon to the desktop like you see here on mine. So there is a Microsoft 365 app. That is actually the Copilot app. And if I open that, it will show you that application. And so, okay. And then you can also use it from Edge. One thing I do all the time is I'm constantly trying to stay up on all the changes with AI, as we all are, right? We all have a problem with that. The technology changes so often that it's really, really hard to stay up on it. So I use the browser, and I search for an article that I want, and maybe I come across this blog post that's, like 3 pages long, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to read this. I really need to read this, but I don't have time. And so I'll bring up Copilot on the flyout panel here on the right side, and I'll just say, hey, summarize this. Give me the high points. The great thing about that is, it does summarize it. Now I don't have to read the whole article, but now I can ask follow-up questions. A lot of times people look at Copilot and they think of it like a search engine. We've been spoiled as a society over the past, 10 to 12 years when it comes to search engines. You got the Bing search engine, you got that other search engine that starts with a G something, I don't know. Anyway, so you got that other one there. And so people go out to search engine and they throw a bunch of words into the search prompt and they get, 200 pages back. And so people are like, oh, well, I'll go through page 1, page 2. If they're really ambitious, they go to 3, 4, maybe 5. If it doesn't exist first 5 pages, well, it must not exist on the internet, and they move on with their day. Well, Copilot is not a search engine. Copilot can search for data. It can search for links on the web, but I like to think of it as a conversation engine, right? It gives you the ability to keep asking questions. So my example here, why I summarize my article, if it brings up a point that it makes, and I want to know more information about that, I can say, can you tell me more about point number 1? And it can summarize or give me more information, even if it doesn't exist on that page, right? So you can start digging in and drilling down and learning new topics. Copilot is one of the only tools that will, one, teach you how to use the tool. So if you go into Copilot and you don't know what to ask, say, hey, what can I ask? Right? And it'll teach you how to use it. But it's also really great for learning topics, right? You can actually go into it and say, hey, I want to learn about quantum computing. And it will, walk you through that. It'll ask you, well, what parts of quantum computing do you want to learn? That sort of thing. It'll even create you a learning roadmap as well. Okay. Another place to use it is on the mobile app. If you haven't tried it on the mobile app, I do recommend that you scan this QR code and download the mobile app, whether that be iPhone or Android. This will basically take you to the store and allow you to download the Copilot app. Now, why would you need it on your phone? Well, let's say you're at home and, you've got the full agent, but, you can say, hey, what's on my calendar for today? Or, hey, I need to go pick up my prescriptions. What time blocks do I have today? Okay, I've got time at between 12 and 12:45. Okay, can you book that time for me? Right? And it will actually go out and put that on your calendar and book that time, right? So now you've got this personal assistant that's working with you to help improve your day. Can you summarize the latest enhancements to Project Falcon? Can you get me up to speed? I was out last week. Can you tell me all the things that are going on with my project and get me up to speed so that when I go into my meeting this morning, I know what those things are and I can quickly hit the ground running. One thing to make sure of if you're using Copilot in a corporate environment, that you log in with your corporate credentials, because when you do, you get this little green shield. This green shield ensures that you have data protection that's provided by the Microsoft Security Foundation, right? So by logging in, you know that your data is now protected. If you're using it on a personal basis, you don't get these protections, but just know that when you are logged into corporate credentials, you will get that little shield icon. And you'll see that when we go to the demo here in a minute as well. All right. When you go to Copilot Chat, there's a lot of different areas. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'll show when we get to the demo. But one of the buttons here right off the top is the new chat. So one thing I want to let people know, if you're having a conversation with Copilot and you're talking about one thing and you change the topic, go ahead and start another conversation, because Copilot will assume that you continued the last conversation. Let me give you an example. So I was doing a demo and someone came up to me afterwards and said, hey, I asked Copilot how to solve global warming, and they said, get rid of half the cows. And I'm like, what? But what it was is this person had been asking about farms and cows and the methane that cows produce on a daily basis. And then he asked, how to solve global warming. Well, because he had already been in that context and he was already asking questions about cows and methane, Copilot assumed that he wanted to know, okay, based on methane emissions, how can we help global warming, right? So a lot of times the results can be taken out of context. So always, if you change the topic, start a new conversation. The prompt box, you can also dictate to Copilot. So you can hit the little microphone there. You can add additional content. So you can click the plus sign and you can add a document, or you can hit the / and add a file. And again, we'll see that here in a minute. You can also go to the prompt gallery. You get these starter prompts to start with, suggested prompts. And those are great for getting you started. I like to think there's two reasons for starter prompts or suggested prompts. One is to showcase what your agent or your Copilot's able to do. In other words, show me some really cool thing that's going to inspire me to use this. And then the other thing is, if you do the same task every time, then give them a button that says, hey, anytime you do this, just click this button and I help you get started. And we'll see that here in a second as well. You can also see all your chat history. So let's move on, because I want to get you to the demo as soon as possible. You can also, if you notice this little auto button here, when you drop that down, by default, Copilot is going to choose the best possible model in order to give you the best possible answer. So if you ask, who won the game last night, it's going to use the quick response, because that's a short answer. It can quickly, spit that out. But if you ask, to compare and contrast, global warming policies at Microsoft to, global warming at Google and whatever, now you're going to have to think a little bit deeper in order to come up with that, research level topic. So that's when it will use the think deeper model, and it will decide as long as you leave it on auto. However, we also like to give you the ability to look at other models as they come out to choose. Maybe you want to use the latest model, and 5.5 is out now, and you'll see that in the demo, that's available to you, and you can try the latest and greatest. But you don't always have to use the latest and greatest, right? You don't necessarily need a Ferrari to go pick up groceries, right? But it's nice to drive the Ferrari every once in a while and just see what it's like. So, feel free to use the latest agent to see, what kind of examples it gives you, but you don't need it on a daily basis. All right, Copilot memory and personalization. This is probably one of the most important things I can teach you today, is to make sure that you personalize Copilot to work for you. And we'll see this a lot more when we get to the demo, but basically when you click the little ellipsis up here, these 3 dots, and you go to settings, there's a personalization option. And when you go into that, you can go into custom instructions. So this tells Copilot who you are, what your job is, what types of queries are you going to be doing, what types of output do you want, And in what format do you want those outputs? Do you like paragraph format? Do you like bullet points? Do you like tables? Do you like emojis? Or maybe you don't like emojis. For some reason, AI absolutely loves emojis. And when we do the examples, you'll see that I get emojis all over the place. It's like an emoji giant threw up everywhere. Anyway, all right, moving on. Still hear me, right, Donna?
Yes, Brian, you are coming through loud and clear. I'm learning so much.
Perfect. No problem. All right, so now let's get to the demo. So this is my Copilot user, and I'm logged in as administrator. So you see I do have a premium license, as you see down here. If I didn't have the premium license, it wouldn't say premium. And if I wanted to log in with a different account, I could come down here and log in with a different account. Again, because I'm in the paid client, I get this little rocker switch. So if I just want to search the web, like see who won the game last night, boom, I could do that. Of course, it wouldn't be New York Knicks, but that's a different story. If I want to look at work, I could actually click here and query my work data. And now it has access to all my emails, my Teams messages, my meeting summaries, my calendar, my contacts. It knows who my boss is. It knows who my teammates are. Right? It has access to all that information about me to be able to answer that question. Again, this is the auto I was talking about. So quick response, think deeper. You can use a Claude Opus model, or you can actually drop this down. And you can see here, there's a ChatGPT 5.5 quick response and a think deeper option. So feel free to use those when you want, a different response, or if you want to compare the models and see which one you like. Maybe you do need 5.5 for most of the things you do. By default, though, when you go back in here, it's always going to reset to auto. So just make sure you change that before you start asking questions. Again, new chat. There's a little option here for doing temporary chat. So if you need to do something that you don't want that information stored, let's say you're doing a private project and you don't want, that your information stored in any way, then you could use the private chat. Here's that green shield that I was talking about. So if you want to know more about our enterprise data protection, you can click here and go out to our website and find out more about that. The ellipsis, again, if you click that, go to settings, go to personalization. Here are those custom instructions. So if I hit edit instructions, you can see I've got use plain language that's easy to understand, skip acronyms or specialized terms unless the audience is familiar with them, prefer internal documents, emails, and chats over external sources when answering questions or looking for information, right? Here's another thing that you can say, use my information and don't try to go out to the web and get it. Let me give you an example. So when I first set up my very first agent, I had like all these SharePoint sites linked to it. I'm like, man, this knows everything about my job. I can ask it any question about my job, and it's going to know exactly what I need. Well, the very first question is, we have these two metrics, job 1 and job 2. We also have motion 1 and motion 2. And so I said, what is job 1? Or tell me about job 1. And it told me it was a book in the Bible. I was like, yes, it is a book in the Bible, but that's not what I meant, right? And so I had to go back in the instructions and say, hey, when someone asks about job 1, it actually means this, right? So be careful what you ask and how you ask it, because Copilot can't read your mind. I think Elon Musk is working on something, but it's not quite there yet. So, for now, just assume that Copilot can't read your mind. So you want to give a good prompt in order for it to get exactly what you're trying. And then there's other suggestions down here. And you can hit this little refresh and get more options. You can have it be more poetic if you want. You can have it speak with empathy if you want. Be concise. Use emojis. Don't use emojis, right? All these things are options for you to choose. When you refresh it, literally there's only 2 screens. So you can refresh all you want, but it's only going to give you those 2 screens. So I'm not sure why they haven't added more. But anyway, you get the point, right? You can even have it answer in Klingon if you want. That's actually a viable option. I've done that. I don't speak Klingon, but it's kind of cool to have a document that's written in Klingon. Yeah. To each his own. All right. So custom instructions. Work profile. So when you look at your work profile, again, it has access to who your boss is, who's your coworkers, who's on your team, who's your manager's boss, right? That sort of thing. Saved memories. I can manage my saved memories. And so I like, Harley Davidson motorcycles. So I told it I like Harley Davidson motorcycles. And I can delete that if I want, or I could delete all memories. I'll show you a second how to save your own. And then chat history. So one thing we just released, this used to be Frontier. So if you're working with Copilot and you see the term Frontier anywhere, it basically means that it's pre-release. It's not generally available to the public. We do give it to you, right? But we give it to you with the assumption that it could change, right? There's something about that environment that could change, and you may have to do things a little bit different, right? So just know that Frontier just means not yet finalized. All right. So one of the things is it links on your chat history. So if you asked something, last week and it gave you the answer you're looking for, you can now say, hey, what answer did you give me last week when I asked about Project Falcon? And it will go through and find the chat history and will regurgitate that for you as well. All right. So let's talk about saved memories. So I like dogs, right? Now let's see if that'll actually do. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try it one more time. So I'm going to start a new chat. Remember that I like dogs. All right, because I used the keyword remember, what that's going to do is going to trigger that personalization. And here in a second, what you'll see is, if it works, if the demo gods are with me today, you'll see a little icon come up that says, the fact, here it is. So user likes dogs has been added to your memory. So it says memory updated. I can click on this and go directly to my memories. And so you saw user likes Harley Davidson, but now user likes dogs is also there. And again, if I don't want it there anymore, I can delete it. And now that's gone. Now, again, you could say things like, hey, I have 4 grandchildren. I like, woodworking. I like this. Whatever you think might impact the quality of the answers that you get. I'm a Copilot CSA. I'm a highly engineering level person. I want, details when I ask for something, right? Or I want high level, whatever that may be. You can do that. Just say, remember this about me, and it will do that. And it doesn't have to be that short. It can be, a big long paragraph to remember about you, and it will do that as well. Again, this is the prompt window down here. If you look at these other prompts over here, I can go back to a previous prompt. And so in this one, I asked about, what is the weather in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? What does it look like for the next several days, the temperatures, because I was going to Pittsburgh at this time. And so I can say, right, I can continue that conversation as if I never left, right? It knows the context. It knows what I've been asking about. And I can continue it like, hey, can you update this graph for me with the latest information? Can you, pull the latest numbers from the financial website and tell me what, how we're currently looking, right? Also, you can create bar graphs, right? Like I said, can you make that a bar graph? Can you, this is what's called a smart card. And so this is an interactive card that you get when you talk about weather, because weather is a known thing. Right, so we give you this smart card. Anytime you get answers, we also show you the sources that we used. If we cite the sources, we show you that they were cited. And what I mean by cited is they actually appear at the end of a line, right? Like this is the weather service. And so you see it actually referenced the weather service to get these numbers. But it also used all these other sites in order to get context. So it'll use multiple sources. Even if it only cites one, it'll use multiple sources. And if you want to see all of them, you can just hit the sources link here out to the side. You can also copy the result. Thumbs up or thumbs down are very important, especially at Microsoft, because we look at those thumbs up and thumbs down to know, whether the Copilot is acting the way we think it should. If you ask one thing and you got an answer that you didn't expect, or an inappropriate answer, which you shouldn't get, then do a thumbs down. Tell us about it. Let us know so that we can help improve the experience for your fellow coworkers. Also, when you do a prompt, it can actually give you suggestions like compare Pittsburgh and Leonardo. I'm in Leonardo, New Jersey. So you can say compare the two. Show me the hourly forecast for Pittsburgh. Summarize the weather outlook for the rest of the week. Right, so these are just examples, and I can just click on that. It puts it into the prompt, and then I can go. You notice while the prompt is running, I get this little stop icon. Let's say you ask a really in-depth question and you're like, I don't want to wait on this anymore. I want to ask another question. You can just hit stop and it's going to stop generating right where it's at. It's not going to get rid of what you already have, but now you can ask additional questions. Again, I talked about dictation, so you can click this and you can start talking to it through your microphone. This is actually even cooler because you can actually start a voice chat. And I don't think I shared with audio, but if you start a voice chat, you can actually have a conversation with Copilot and you can communicate back and forth. She can answer you, you can, ask questions, they'll get more answers and so forth. So if you have the option for voice chat, at least try it out. It's really, really cool. Once you get a prompt, and I killed that prompt, so I can't do it. But once a prompt finishes running, you can then hover over it. Because this one didn't finish, when I hover over it, I don't get any icons because I never finished the prompt. But if I do finish the prompt, you can see I get additional icons that come up over here. I can edit it, which basically is it puts it back into the prompt window, and I can, change my prompt a little bit, or I can copy it if I want to share it with someone else. I can schedule the prompt. Maybe I want the weather every morning at 8 a.m. I can now schedule this prompt and get that weather forecast every morning. Now it's going to appear in your chat history. So there's better ways to do it, but just know you can. I can save the prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And so I'm just going to call this weather, right? And I'm going to hit save. And so now that's gone. You don't know where that is. I can unsave it if I want. I can also copy the prompt link. So if I do that and put it into the URL, you notice you get this full line of all this gobbledygook here. But what that means is an encoded string, right? And so that string basically tells Copilot what the prompt is. So it goes to Copilot, and then it puts that prompt into your prompt window. Now, this is a very simple prompt. I wouldn't share this as a link. But let's say your prompt is a page long and you want to share that with your whole team so that your whole team can be successful. Feel free to copy that link like I did, right? And now share that URL with someone. You can send it through email. You can put it in a Teams chat, or in this case, I guess a Zoom chat. And you can share that URL with someone else. And so basically it's going to go to Copilot and it's going to put in that prompt. Now, let me give you an advanced tip here. If you're sharing a large prompt with someone else, make sure that you, I don't know if this is a word, but genericize the prompt, right? So if you have things in there specific to you, like your team's name or your a certain date or a certain identity that's specific to you or your team or project name or whatever it may be, take those specific things out and ask Copilot instead, ask me questions to get these specific values. Ask me what my team name is. Ask me what the project name is. Ask me what the ID is for this customer, right? And so what Copilot will now do is now the prompt you give everybody else is generic. And so the next thing it's going to do is going to say, okay, now I need the specific information, and it's going to ask you that additional information. So now when you share the prompt, everybody can benefit from the prompt without having to go through, oh, this didn't work for me because Project Falcon was encoded in here, or, Donna's name was in here, or whatever else, right? And so you have to go back to the prompt. You have to find all the specifics. You have to type over it and then hit enter, and then it works for you, right? Whereas if you do the work, you save everyone else a lot of time. And now that prompt will work for everyone. Another expert tip here is, let's say you go back and forth with Copilot and you finally get the exact output you want, right? Because you can tell it, I don't like the font, I don't like the size, I want a slide for this or an image for that. And, finally you get the exact output you want. What you can do is, even if it's like 20 prompts in, you can say, Copilot, I would like to do an initial prompt to get this same exact output. What would the prompt look like? And so Copilot is going to give you a very nicely formatted prompt that you can now open a new chat window, put that prompt in, and you should get exactly the output that you got after 20 steps after your first step. And so now you can then share that prompt with others, and you can save that prompt. Okay, so let's talk about saving prompts. So let's go back to a new window. The only way you can get to the prompt gallery is from a new chat session. All right, so again, I've got these starter prompts here. So like files, I could summarize a file. I could create an FAQ. One of the vastly underused features of Copilot that I see is creating an FAQ. That is very powerful. Let's say you got a 30-page document and you want to share it, but you also need an FAQ for your team. You know, it's going to take you a while to go through and think about all the questions people might ask and then give them the answer. Well, Copilot already knows what questions people are going to ask. So just say, hey, create an FAQ from this document. And it's going to ask all the questions and give all the answers in a single document, and you're done. You've created that FAQ in seconds that would have taken you hours. All right. And then if you click the ellipsis, right, that will actually take you to the prompt gallery. And so now I'm in the prompt gallery. You see it says Copilot prompt gallery. I can sort by what type of task I want to do. Do I want to analyze something? Do I want to write code? Do I want to learn something? I can sort the prompts, and you see there's lots of prompts here, right? So everybody gets tons and tons of prompts in the prompt gallery. So feel free to sort these. You can sort it by job title. Maybe you just want the ones related to HR or marketing or sales, or maybe you want them sorted by industry or both. Maybe you want retail. Maybe you want financial services. Maybe you're a nonprofit and you want to see if there's any prompts related to nonprofits, right? And you could do both. I could say I'm an HR person working for a nonprofit, right? And so these are all ones that could be applicable for an HR person working in a nonprofit organization, right? So feel free to mix and match those as much as you want. There's also a Copilot agent. So if you're using one of these other agents like Researcher or Prompt Coach, you can actually sort them by ones that work for that. Now we want to find our prompt that we saved. It was called weather, right? So now you notice I've got suggested, which I'm on, and now I'm going to click on your prompt. And now here's that prompt I saved called weather. Now I can share that with someone else, or I can click the ellipsis and remove it. Like if I don't want it anymore, I can do that. If I click on it, it basically takes me back to Copilot and it puts the prompt into the prompt window, right? So this is a way of re-entering your prompt without having to retype it all the time. So once you find that really good prompt that you like, save it and then give it a name that you can recognize, right? On that point, one thing I forgot to mention, let's say you like that weather conversation, right? And you want to be able to go back to it. You can rename this, right? So it's not so confusing, right? It says, hey, Copilot, can you tell me, right? That's all it shows me. I don't know what that means. I can say weather combo, right? And so now I know this was my weather conversation, right? And now I can actually save that and go back to it at any point in time. If I don't want to save it, I can actually delete it, right? And I can delete that document and then I won't see it anymore. It won't be part of my history. I won't, have that grounding as part of my future queries. All right. Again, new chat will get you a new window. Search will allow you to search for documents. So you can give it in clear text. Of course, it pops up the first time you go in and says, hey, you can actually search for documents and so forth. And what's cool about that, you can actually open the contact card for a document and you can actually, this is a person. Let's see. All right, so this is a presentation. I can copy the link. I can go to that presentation. If it finds it, probably misspelled that. But you see, it gives me everything that has presentation. So one of the things I can do is I can open up an overview of that file, and it will tell me, when it was created, when it was last modified. I can create an FAQ right from this contact card. I can review the file. I can suggest alternative titles, who contributed to this, or I can just ask questions. Right, like summarize this file. And so now it's going to put it all over here in the Copilot prompt, and it's going to attach the file and tell me I want to summarize the file. Right, so right there, without even opening the file, I can quickly get to the summarization of that file. And it's now going to summarize that for me. And I can keep asking questions. All right. Donna, do we have any questions in chat?
We don't have any questions in chat just yet. I know we have lots, so if you maybe leave 10 minutes or so for Q&A, you think you can do that?
Yep, we got a book though, so let's book.
I know. Talk fast. We're
All
New
right.
Yorkers. We can handle it.
Yeah. All right. Art of prompting. You know, it's funny. A lot of people see my presentations. With a lot of presentations, people can speed it up to 1.5 times just so they get through it quicker. With mine, they actually have to slow it down because I talk too fast.
You're in the right room.
Let's go fast. All right. So again, science of prompting. You know, when Copilot first came out, there was this role called a prompt engineer. Well, guess what? If you've ever prompted Copilot, you're a prompt engineer. Congratulations. So, you know, what is some prompts? You check the product launch, you know, write a session, you know, things like that. What makes up a good prompt? I like to do what is it, an anagram or whatever it's called. So, giraffes can see everything. If you remember that statement, giraffes is goal, context is can, source is see, and everything is expectation. So your goal is what you want Copilot to do. Why do you want Copilot to do it? It's your context. Your source is which information do you want to use to ground the data in, and what do you expect the output to look like, right? So giraffes can see everything. And so this is an example of a good prompt. You got the goal, prepare for leadership offsite focused on team alignment and vision setting. That's your goal. I want to bring ideas that foster collaboration and long-term thinking. Okay, this is your context. This is why you're doing it. Use insights from McKinsey and the Center for Creative Leadership. That's your source, right? You're telling it where to focus to get the information from. And then finally, summarize 3 to 5 actionable suggestions I can share with the group. This is the outcome that you want, or the expectations from the prompt. So given these 4 areas, as long as you include as much as you can, you're going to get a really good example. Look at this one. So this one's less effective. Summarize news about Microsoft, right? Will you get summary about news from Microsoft? Absolutely. Will it be what you're looking for? Probably not. You might get some bits of information. But if your example was, I work in marketing and focus on competitor research, give me a concise summary of recent news about Microsoft. Focus on announcements about new product lines, provide the answer in 2 or 3 paragraphs, and use a business tone or Klingon, whatever you want to do. But the point is, that is a much better prompt because now Copilot knows what you want it to deliver, right? Recent news is a very key point there, right? Summarize news about Microsoft. That could have been news from 3 years ago, right? You didn't specify. So Copilot will make it up. Remember, it can't read your mind. All right. And so these are, you can also have it visualize data for you. Like I said, you can do a bar chart or you can do a graph. You can create images with Copilot. Again, this is an example of an image. So let's say you're doing a marketing campaign and you want to create an image for your marketing campaign. You can actually have it create that image. This is an example of a really good prompt that was used to create this image, right? So the more information you get it about, you know, what type of tone, what type of colors, what type of setting do you want? What lighting do you want? You know, what type of people do you want in it, right? That sort of thing. As long as you're really cover a lot of the bases of what you're wanting to do, you're going to get more likely to get the results you want. Instead of saying, hey, I want a picture of a cow on the moon. You're going to get a picture of a cow on the moon. But will it be what you want? Probably not, because who wants a cow on the moon? Anyway, moving on. Copilot and Word. And we don't have time to get into each of these, but just know that these are all available for you as well. You can use it in PowerPoint to create new slide decks. You can use it in Excel. Excel is incredible for using with Copilot because you can use advanced analytics, and it can actually use Python in order to, you know, figure out calculations and graphs and other things. So you don't have to do pivot charts and pivot tables and all these other things you used to have to be an advanced user to do. Copilot can now do it for you. So if you haven't used Copilot in Excel, please do. It's awesome. And Outlook. All right. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So what questions do we have?
Brian, because it was in the questions and you just skimmed past it. How are we using Copilot to manage our email?
You got me. Okay, let's go to Outlook.
Right.
Well, actually, let's do the demo here. So
Okay.
from the Copilot app, I'm going to click the little app launcher. If you
Okay.
haven't used Create, use Create because it's really awesome. You can create images, you can create infographics, you can create documents. But I'm going to go to Outlook, which is now going to open up my Outlook in the web. Now, a lot of the features for Copilot are on the new version of Outlook. Some people are still
Right.
on the older version of
Right.
Outlook. I
Right.
do recommend you update. It's
Mhm.
about time. At some point, we're going to force you, but I haven't heard the date of that going to be. But in an email, you can use Copilot for a lot of different things, right? You can actually click this summarize. And what it's going to do is it's going to summarize that thread. So let's say that email is, 16 responses long and you've been off for a week and you need to get caught up. We'll just have Copilot summarize that for you. You can also hit, say, Ask Copilot. It's going to allow you to ask more questions about that email. So if I hit Ask Copilot, it comes over here, puts it into Copilot, and now I can start summarizing. A couple of things. So this Copilot over here is the same one that we were just on the web. I like to say there's 3 types of Copilot. There's apps, right? In other words, you click the summarize button, right? And it gave you a summary. That's a tool, right? There's a tool. Sorry, it's a tool. So you click a button and it gives you results, right? I don't have to enter a prompt. I don't have to do anything. I just click a button. Another great button to click here is there's one for schedule with Copilot. And so if I click on that one, what it will do, it will put the everyone on the to line in the required field and everyone on the CC line. So if you have 20 people in this email thread, you can quickly schedule a meeting with all 20 people just by clicking that one button, right? And so now what it also does, if you come down here, it will automatically generate you an agenda, right? And it will also give you a summary. And all you have to do is insert that and move on with your day. It will also attach the thread, the email thread, to the meeting invite. So if you ask questions about the meeting or during the meeting, it still has access to the email thread to be able to answer that question, right? Also with Scheduler, if everyone is internal, you can actually it'll actually pick 3 times that the most people are available. So if you have 20 people, instead of having to check everyone's calendar, Copilot will say, hey, here's the 3 best possible times when the most people are available. Now, that doesn't work if you're working with a lot of external customers because you don't have access to their calendar. But if those customers are internal, or if those users are internal, you can definitely get times of their calendar and you can have a Copilot pick out the best possible time. There's another button here, which is called Meeting. Same thing. The meeting came out first. And so if you click that, it will do the same thing. But what it doesn't do is the agenda, and it won't do the summary. What it will do, it will put the email thread as the body of the email. But it still does all the other stuff. So just know that's kind of the same thing, but not exactly, right? There's 2 different functions that do closely the same thing. Again, if you use Copilot, you can actually have it summarize all your emails in your inbox. You can, summarize my week and see what's going on. Of course, because I clicked that, it's still in my box. So I can say, summarize my week, right? And it's going to go through and it's going to summarize all the emails you got. It's going to summarize, of course, again, what do we teach? That's not a great prompt because I didn't give a lot of information. I just kind of generalized it. Let me give you another example. Let's say you had an intern starting next Monday, and that intern came in. Would you say, hey, we've got a meeting on next Thursday. Go prepare the slides. I'll see you at the meeting. What type of response are you going to get from that intern? Will they deliver something? Probably, because they want to please you, right? They want to give you something, and so they want to be successful. But if you said, hey, we've got a marketing meeting next Thursday, we present the first 3 slides. Go talk to Bob and set up slide 1. Go talk to Mary about slide 2 and Joan about slide 3. And oh, by the way, here's the PowerPoint that we presented last month. We'll get together on Wednesday. We'll talk about it. We'll review what you have, and then we'll be ready Thursday morning. You're going to get a much better response from that than you would just say, go prepare for the meeting. Same thing with your prompt. Think of it as an intern. Give it enough information to be successful for what you're trying to accomplish.
Oh, I like that. Think of your prompts as interns.
Mhm.
Assume
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
Assume nothing.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
Right. So
I know
here
we've
you
got
go.
lots of questions. I don't know how
Yeah,
much we're going
go
to
ahead.
get to, but
Go ahead.
Rachel, I'll hand it to you.
We
There's a
do
bunch
have a
live.
lot. Ugh, okay. I'm going to jump around. So, one person asked, which I thought was interesting, is how do you suggest organizing your chats? Is there a project folder or tagging features?
You can save your prompts in the prompt gallery. There's also a tool that's on GitHub called Prompt Buddy. We use it internally at Microsoft, and so it organizes prompts by department, by job role, by business unit, and then you can vote on them too. So you can like, what's the most popular prompt this week, or things like that. So Prompt Buddy is a great use for saving prompts, but Prompt Gallery is what we give you out of the box.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple questions here I'm not sure I entirely understand. There was a couple questions about data. So if you're using it in Excel, do you need to worry about your data privacy?
No, that's why you log in with your credentials. So as long as you have that little shield icon, you get access. Your data is secure. The great thing about using Copilot versus say Chat GPT or Claude or one of these other tools is to use those tools, you have to go external to your corporate environment, right? And so you're sending your information, you're sending your prompt and your files out to another party. Whereas when you do it with Microsoft, we have the full Microsoft stack. You're within the Microsoft tenant. All your files already reside here. All your information resides here. And so why shouldn't your prompting reside here as well?
Mm-hmm. That's great. And then another good question is, how do you transition from another LLM like ChatGPT to Copilot without losing your voice? Is there a way to quickly train from one to the other?
Yeah, so the instructions are really important as well, right? Because I know with ChatGPT it has its own version of what some people call soul code, which is basically an instruction set of how to behave, how to act, that sort of thing. I've seen also people use GPTs,
Mm-hmm.
right? So GPTs with OpenAI's ChatGPT, you can actually take those and make agents from them. And so I've done that for customers, just taking the code from their GPT, putting it into the agent prompt, right? And literally letting Copilot figure out how to create an agent just like that.
Okay, that's great. Thank
Okay, so while you're asking the next question, one of the things Brian, Marie, and I wanted to ask all of you is we realized this was fire hose. We realized we're not going to get to all our questions. So I'm going to launch a poll question asking you if you'd like us to schedule another session on Copilot. So I'm going to launch that, and
I
Rachel.
vote yes.
All right, while that's happening, I'm going to ask one more question in the time we have. So, oh gosh, my
We're
I can't
getting
vote.
all yeses. That's affirmative.
Yeah.
Like practically
All right.
everyone is saying yes.
So, in a quickly changing technology environment, what developments do you see coming on the horizon for Copilot?
Oh gosh.
Tell us the future.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's really so. The biggest thing, if you watch Build last week, one of the things they talked about is this new terminology called autopilots. Right? We've always said that Copilot doesn't mean autopilot. You're still in control, but sometimes you have a process that's well defined, and you want that process to complete without your approvals or with maybe just a single approval and that sort of thing. And so the term of autopilots, and our first one we're releasing is as Microsoft Scout. It was just announced last week at Build. And so I've been using it internally for a while now. And so, I mean, you can do multi-step processes. So it's a lot like CoWork, but CoWork is done in the cloud, whereas Scout's done on your local PC. But you can do things like, hey, my computer's rebooting. Can you help me figure out why this is happening? And it'll look through all the logs. It'll help me figure out what's wrong. It'll download drivers if it needs to. It'll go and install applications. It'll do all the things it needs, just like I have a personal assistant there with me. So it's really, really cool what it can do.
Donna, thank you so much, Brian. Donna, do we have time for more, or should we wrap it up?
Well, I mean, it's 12:59. Go for one more.
All right.
If anyone has to leave, they can leave.
This is a good one for future learning. And yes, a couple people asked, you are going to get the recording of this so you can
Yes,
release it
you
or
will.
share with your team. Is there a Microsoft resource that provides guidance on where to use Copilot within Microsoft applications such as Excel versus when to provide documents with the standalone Copilot interface? So basically, where are the resources, Brian, that we can learn more?
I'm right here.
Yeah. And Copilot has a great learning platform. I use it all the time, and I must have subscribed to some emails, but I'm constantly getting emails on features and leading me back to the Learning Center. So there is a very good Learning Center as
MS
well.
Learning is a
Yeah.
great resource. You
Yeah.
can filter on Copilot, and
Yeah.
you'll see hundreds of trainings in multiple languages. Not always English, right? We're a multinational company, and so we provide trainings.
Right.
Oh, that's another great thing to mention here is, let's say you have a document in English and you need to convert it to Spanish. Just tell Copilot to output it in Spanish, right? And it will do that for you. Remember how I said Klingon? Well, it doesn't have to be Klingon. It could be Spanish. It could be German. It could be, Japanese, whatever you want it to do, or vice versa. Let's say someone gives you a document and it's in Spanish. You can actually have it convert the whole thing to English as well. So you can also change the context of how it answers. So remember how I talked about learning about quantum computing? Maybe that's too high for you. I know it is for me. It's over my head, right? So what I can do is I can say, hey, teach me about quantum computing, but do it as if I'm a 5-year-old, right? Tell me about the magic toy box and this and that, right? So now you know how I teach my 4 grandchildren about quantum computing is I use Copilot to help me out.
Awesome. Brian, thank you, thank you, thank you. Overwhelmingly, people would like another session, so we'll talk about that for down the road a little bit. So we want to thank you all for joining us at this NJBIA Business Growth Roundtable. We wish you lots of efficiencies. I'm using Copilot. It's really, really changing the way I do business and how I take next steps. And I love that it's Copilot because it does link into not only the web, but all of my documents and all of my, institutional memory that I have as an organization. So all good. Rachel, any final words?
Nope, that's it. We'll see y'all next month. Make sure to register.
Have a great week,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Brian. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.